Hello everyone, welcome to the Jewish Week Online. We're here with the Jewish Funk team checking out Sukkah City. Reboot put together a contest, bringing together architects to make the most interesting sukkah. Let's take a closer look. Let's talk sukkahs. So we have some really interesting sukkahs around. Tell us a little bit about how you got connected to the project.
Sure. So Joshua Foer, this was his idea, all of Sukkah City. His brother-in-law and I once learned in yeshiva together 3 years ago in Ma'ale Gilboa in Israel. So his brother-in-law was looking for someone, trying to help out his brother, to someone rabbinic is how he put it, to basically come up with the laws of a sukkah and try and describe them in a way that architects might be able to understand. So that was my initial involvement, just the original guidelines for this contest.
And there's a lot of creativity that's here, and all these sukkahs are kosher?
Just about. So after they narrowed all the entrants, and there were 600, after they narrowed them down to 24, I went over all of those 24, all the designs that were given to me, and did my best to make sure that they were all kosher. And those that weren't, I made suggestions about what would need to be modified. And then some of the architects, then after they got my email with the suggestions, called me to discuss this a little bit more and see how we could make some modifications. So for the most part, all of them then became kosher. There are a couple that have some minor issues which are easily tweaked. A few need just to add some more schach on them to make sure they've got more shade than sunlight. That's about 3 of them I think need a little more schach.
And to you who don't know about the sukkah, what are some of the requirements?
Great. So sukkah needs to have 2.5 walls, and the way that was once described to me, I think is beautiful, which is it's sort of like a hug. You have your chest, your arm, and a little bit of your hand, and that's kind of like you're being hugged. So sukkah is kind of like God hugging the people who are sitting in the sukkah. So 2.5 walls. It needs to be at least 40 inches tall. It needs to be at least 28 inches by 28 inches. Instead of walls, one could actually have a circular sukkah. And the main component of a sukkah is the schach, the roof. And that needs to be made of organic material, which has been cut already from the ground. It has to still look like it came from the ground. It can't have been altered too much or too processed. Those are really some of the basic laws. And then that roofing material needs to provide more shade than sunlight, so it can't be too diffuse.
And there are a lot of different sukkahs here. Which has surprised you the most?
I think log definitely is the most surprising. I think everyone looks at this sukkah and says, there's no way that's kosher. It challenges a major conception of what we think of as schach. And so actually, one of the ideas behind the sukkah is that it should be temporary, it shouldn't be permanent. And so it's discussed in halachic literature and Jewish legal literature about whether or not you can use a board which is 14 inches wide or longer, or wider, because that resembles too closely one's home, and one could think, oh, I can sit here and it basically looks like my home, I could eat in my home also. But log, even though it's much wider than that, because it's a branch, or in this case a trunk, it's actually okay because it really doesn't resemble what one would use for their home as a roof.
And when you work with the architect, sometimes it's hard to explain certain traditions or even Jewish architecture. What were some of your methods?
So I'd say really, and this is a little bit surprising, but I knew this. I have a background in engineering, and I used to be friends with a number of architects in school with me. Is that architects love working with boundaries and limitations. So architects love working with limitations, and so giving them all these limitations, even though they may seem totally out of the blue, such as the size and the material, ultimately many of them just looked at it and said, great, I'm going to try and find my own personal expression within the boundaries that I'm given. So I really didn't have so much pushback in terms of the laws. I think I just explained them in plain English, and even if they seemed strange to the architects, they felt fine working within them.
Great. Thanks so much for your time.
So what did you think about the Sukkah City? I think it's amazing that we get to share our culture with different people. I thought it was phenomenal. It was very Sukkah-ish in the city. It was very exciting.
Ceremony, Sukkah City is now going to officially close. We've got Rabbi Danny Passout, who's spent time with all of the engineers, making sure they all pass muster. Is going to close Sukkah City ceremonially by blowing the old ram's horn, the shofar, to a note of tremendous celebration. Danny. Thanks so much. We'll see you all next year.
see there's some really innovative sukkahs. This is our own Herman, and thank you for watching.